Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin, and as I said yesterday, I'm so happy that it happened. Lai Mohammed, I said yesterday, was going to be in the house, but I still wasn't sure because anything could happen, and it could be called back to Abuja, and it'll be no more than an apology. But all is good. Good morning, Lai Mohammed,
Good morning, sir.
Minister of Information. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much.
And as I said, there are a lot of our viewers that have been waiting for you because when we spoke about this yesterday, we said, don't worry, Lai Mohammed is coming in tomorrow, and we're going to talk more about the border closure. Now, it was on Monday that you coordinated a media tour, a powerful one in the sense that as Minister of Information, you were coordinating, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Internal, Security Advisor, all of that. How satisfied were you? Because following that, what we were quoting was that the border would remain closed, well, we used words either indefinitely or as long as necessary. Is that still?
Actually, Mr. Folani, we don't call it border closure. We actually just call it border drill.
Drill?
Drill.
In fact, other people call it temporary land border closure.
Well, some people call it partial,
Partial
border closure. But
land
actually,
border closure.
For us, actually, it's just, a border drill.
Okay, border
Why
drill.
do we call it a border drill? Because even now, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., citizens of ECOWAS, both countries, actually still, pass through the semi-border
Okay.
and the GBA border, provided they have valid travel documents. But the important thing is that this border drill would have come up at all if only our neighbors, particularly Benin and Niger Republic, they had complied with the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme, especially as regards transit goods.
Okay.
The ECOWAS protocol on transit goods is very clear. It says that if a container arrives at a seaport, which is not the final destination of that container, the receiving country is mandated to escort that container without tampering with the seal, without opening it, to the border of the country of destination, where such goods will be examined and appropriate duties will be paid. Unfortunately, over the years, what has been happening is that when these containers meant for Nigeria arrive in transit at Cotonou seaport, they are broken, they are opened, and they are transloaded into trucks. Sometimes about 5 containers are transloaded into one truck, driven to the border, and duty assessed as if it's just one container. But it's not just that we lose a lot of revenue through this. National security is also endangered because when containers are transloaded, it does not give the customs officers the opportunity of examining such goods. In the process, arms and ammunition, illicit drugs are also loaded into the container and they are driven into Nigeria. Worse still is that 60% of goods meant for Nigeria but transiting in Benin Republic are actually let loose and they come through unapproved routes as smuggled, items. Now, the impact of this on the economy is not just that we lose money, like I said, or national security, but it's a huge disincentive to local production. Again, part of the ETLS is that it allows free movement.
The ECOWAS Trade and
Liberalization Scheme,
ETLS.
ETLS, that it allows goods manufactured by one member state to move freely to any member state, provided those goods are manufactured in the country of origin. And even if only 30% of the goods is the local content of that country, it's still regarded as, being locally manufactured in that country. But unfortunately, again, what our neighbors have been doing, that all manners of foreign imported goods are now labeled as being manufactured locally in their country, and then they're exported into Nigeria, imported into Nigeria. Now, so this didn't start yesterday. And attempts have been made since 2005, where fairly Nigeria and Benin Republic and Nigeria and Niger, we enter into MOUs. We entered into one in 2005. In 2014, it was reported. 2015, it was repeated. 2016, 2017, 2018, but all to no avail. And it was at this point that Nigeria decided to introduce the border drill.
Okay.
Because if we didn't do so, even local policies that we put in place, like the Anchor Brass program, especially in the area of agriculture, was being badly affected. Because, you see, the politics of and the economy of smuggled rice is very complicated, but it's really, really extremely harmful, not just to the economy, but the well-being of Nigerians. Why is it harmful to our economy? Is that most of the rice that is being smuggled into Nigeria are very unhealthy for our consumption. They are rice that probably have expired for a very long time, and then because they've expired, the landing cost is cheaper than the locally produced rice. So it depresses demand for locally produced rice, and at the same time, it is responsible for a lot of the diseases that
bad food coming
that Nigerians suffer from. But let's call a spade, which is simply that we all belong to ECOWAS, and we must abide by the protocol, 1, on transit goods, and 2, also on what we call the state of origin of goods.
What you've just said, Alhaji, since you started on this particular question, is exactly what I was reading ECOWAS has also adopted as a position. That, in fact, speaking as if they were Nigeria, that Nigeria's borders will remain closed. But I'm learning something now that, look, you even prefer, it's a border drill. What we are calling border closure.
It's border drill because border drill in the sense that
the federal government thinks of it as a border drill.
The government is a border closure. There will be no movement of people.
Okay, so you can, even temporary land closure, whatever, it's border drill.
It's border drill, and we have just one objective: to persuade our neighbors to comply with the ECOWAS protocol on transit, and also ECOWAS protocol on state of origin of goods.
This has brought us to this state, which is virtually an emergency, the way people will see it. Whether we call it border closure, whether we call it a land drill, people know that something has changed. It's not business as usual at the borders. And because ECOWAS is a community of African states, I was wondering why the heads of government, our president, Nigerian president, the same thing in Benin, why they haven't sorted this out, because it's totally different. But when there was an emergency, national emergency between Nigeria and South Africa, the two leaders spoke. What's going on here?
No, as more of
with our brothers, well, to the president, brothers, heads of state.
There's a very high level, ministerial talk. I was part of one about 2 weeks ago, where the ministers of Interior, Finance, Trade, Foreign Affairs, and the heads of customs and immigrations and other security agencies of all the 3 countries met in Abuja to find a solution to this impasse. At the end of that meeting, another committee was set up of the operators, that is the CG, the controllers of customs of both countries and security, heads of all the three countries, to again find out, to find a solution to it. So as we speak right now, there's high-level consultation going on among the three countries. But what we found out is that within just 3 months of the closure of this border, the benefits that have accrued to Nigeria, the benefits are simply humongous.
Okay.
In the first instance, it has curbed smuggling of all kind of goods, in particular rice. And this to us is quite salutary, in the sense that in the last 3 months of the closure, there have been a higher demand for locally produced rice. Our farmers and our millers have been very busy. More land is being cultivated for rice, and more hands are being employed on our farms. 2, we found out also, surprisingly, that contrary to what the naysayers have been saying, there has been a marked increase in revenue from import.
Okay.
Over 15%.
Since, in the period since
of
August till present?
Exactly. Monthly, 15% increase. We also found out that the sheer amount of seizures and arrests that have been made would have been very, very harmful, not just to our economy, but to our security. For instance, in the last 3 months, seizures made have been more than 3.5 billion naira in monetary terms. Over 38,000 50 kg bags of rice have been confiscated. About 11,000 jerrycans of petroleum, PMS, have been impounded. 136 kilograms of NPK, which is not used just not the fertilizer, but used for explosives
As well.
Not to talk of over 1,000 drums filled with petrol that have been impounded. And about
that is impounded as they were trying to be
smuggle
exported,
them, exactly.
smuggled out.
And in addition to about 296 illegal immigrants that have been arrested. Now, we realize, like I said earlier, about 95% of all illicit drugs and arms actually come through our land borders. There has been a drastic reduction in terrorism and kidnapping because the drugs and the arms and ammunition used for this kidnapping and terrorism have simply, dried out. They've dried up. So when you look at this, the benefits that we have made in the last 3 months of closure, you begin to appreciate why the government took the decision of this, border drill. But regrettably, the signs out there are not positive. They're saying that even in the last 2 weeks, the sheer amount of seizures and arrests that have been made does not show that our neighbors are in a hurry to comply with the ECOWAS protocol on transit goods or state of origin. For instance, as we speak today, there are 3 ships heading towards Benin Republic.
Laden with rice?
Laden with about 105,000 metric tons of rice. this is a country with just about 11.2 million people. That rice is meant for ultimate consumption of Nigerians. In addition, the Republic just negotiated with Japan to donate rice worth $30 million US. But it's clear that the ultimate destination of this rice will be Nigeria. And that is why we are appealing to our neighbors. That I think self-preservation is the very first law of survival. We're not doing this to hurt anybody. We're doing this because we want to preserve our economy and preserve, the security of our country.
I suppose the simplistic way, if I was trying to understand what's going on from the sides of our brothers, is that as we are saying it is negatively affecting our economy, they probably are looking at it from a point of view of that, our own economy, we've become so used to this that the shock of it, of doing the right thing, and here I'm speaking for them, the shock of doing the right thing is just not enabling them. So you are complaining, and Nigeria is complaining that our brothers haven't even indicated that they want to try to comply.
Well, you see, those who do not see the benefit of the border drill, I think it's because they've not taken into consideration the effect this is having on our local economy. There's a gentleman who retired as a director from Total Oil and went to poultry farming in Ibadan. And he testified that before the border drill, he was doing very well. He was selling about 4,000 birds a day. But that after the border drill, the demand went to 15,000 birds a day, and he can no longer cope. So for people like him, who are selling just 4,000 birds a day, and the demand has now gone to 15,000 birds a day, of course he would pray that the land border will remain closed forever.
Indeed.
Now, for the farmer or the rice farmer or the rice miller, that has witnessed a boom in his production, of course he sees the salutary effect of border closure. But overall, for us in Nigeria, I think it's about national interest before anything. So it is the national interest of Nigeria that is at stake. We can no longer afford to play big brother at the expense of our economy, at the expense of our national security.
Okay. Even big brother, even if people are going to play big brother, it still has to be fair. The ground has to be level, and this, it has been proved, is not level. There are rules of engagement. No. Even ECOWAS is saying that we see what Nigeria is saying. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up is, we've even discussed it on the program, that there will be unintended consequences, maybe unintended casualties. I don't know what you think, Alaji, about the part of car importers, whatever, automobile importers. They are complaining, and it's all connected. They are complaining that people didn't think about them. In fact, some are going as far as saying that their their showrooms have been sealed. They allege that they have already paid duties, but the customs says, I don't know what duties you paid. It was fake duties. Come and do the right thing, and until you do the right thing. So that whole area, do you have any word for that sector of the economy?
I think those are purely administrative issues that will be sorted out. And really, I don't think it's a reason why we should be negative in our attitude to the border drill. Now, the facts at my disposal, reveals that 10,000 vehicles are imported every month into the Cotonou seaport.
10,000 monthly.
10,000 months.
And we established a population earlier, remember?
Now, for a population of 12 million people,
12 million people.
which means in a year, 1.2 million vehicles will enter the Republic. Where are they coming? Where are they coming to? Nigeria. You see, there's no gain without pain. There'll be some discomfort at the beginning, but ultimately, we believe it's going to be in the overall interest of Nigeria that our neighbors comply with the ECOWAS treaty, fairly protocols on transit and rules of origin.
It's going to be in everybody's interest. So maybe that's part of the way to understand when we are hearing that, well, border drill. That this border drill, if we're going to end it, it will be after our brothers have complied with not what you are just creating now, but what is a standing protocol.
Exactly. You see, ETLS is not Nigeria's making. It is the entire ECOWAS that agreed on this ECOWAS trade scheme. And the protocol on transit.
But it's now being abused because you explained.
It's been grossly abused, both the transit, the protocol on transit, and even on state of origin. Because today, local industries are very badly affected because of the dumping of substandard, foreign goods on our market. They are cheap, but they are substandard. And even if they are not substandard, they are a very great disincentive to local industry and local manufacturing.
What do you say, Alhaji, about one or two comments I've heard that, look, Benin can only get away with what it is doing, especially in relation to cars and all of this, and especially the smuggling part, because the tariffs in Nigeria are so sky high that it's very difficult to do the right thing. Not that I think very much of the argument, but it is among those that are being said there.
Well,
in other words, the Nigerian price is too high.
Well, I think these are issues that can be looked into. But when tariffs are set, they are set for a number of reasons. And those who are comparing our tariffs, they have not come out to give us competitive or comparative tariffs from other countries that are in the same level, at the same level of development with us. Now, a country might have a reason to have a high tariff on a product. I'll give an example. Some years back, when Nigeria was charging 70% tariff on imported rice, so just to encourage, local production, some of our neighbors crashed their own tariffs and made their own countries more attractive for importation of rice. But at the end of the day, it was being smuggled into Nigeria. So you see, when people talk about the issues of tariff, if the manufacturer of Nigeria is concerned about tariffs, they have a lot of channels to talk with the Minister of Trade. And they consider, and they do this often. But I think to lump this issue with what is going on, I think is very, very unfair. We're talking about a situation where the economy of the country is being threatened, where national security is being threatened, simply because some of our neighbors have refused to play by the rules.
You also spoke about improvements in the area of security since the border drill started. I think getting used to calling it border drill now. Since it started, that improvements in security. I'm linking this to a notice we had earlier with something about Operation Identify Yourself. All Nigerians will now be carrying whatever. In short, the army, we've heard this notice. And we haven't even started that now, as far as I know, but you can advise me better. And you're saying still a discernible difference has been seen?
No, Mr. Fulani, what I'm saying is that, you see, it's been established that 95% of our illicit drugs and arms and ammunition
especially the
come through the land border. Now, with the border drill, we've seen a drastic reduction in the number of arms and ammunition that are coming. And that is what is helping in reducing kidnapping and terrorism.
Okay.
Because you need a combination of both. I mean, a combination of both drugs and as ammunition to promote kidnapping and promote terrorism. So that is the salutary effect we have seen from the, border drill. Like I explained, we've seized about 136 kilograms of NPK. NPK fertilizers are not just used for farming. They are used to make explosives.
The chemicals can be used for explosives as well.
And why would you smuggle fertilizer if we are not smuggling it for explosives? So we look at this is the point I'm trying to make about kidnapping and terrorism being curbed simply by the border drill.
Okay. Because it's not business as usual. Things have changed.
No, it's not. And we can see. You can if you look at the records and the figures of kidnapping and terrorism in the last couple of months, you will see a noticeable decline, and it is directly related to this border drill. Again, many Nigerians don't appreciate the fact that the border drill is not limited to the semi-border. The border drill is going on in 4 geopolitical zones of the country: southwest, south-south, north-central, and northwest. As a matter of fact, we'll be visiting Jibia, the Katsina-Jibia border, on Monday.
Okay.
We are doing another media tour because the issues again are different.
Okay.
While rice might be the major, smuggled item in the semi-border, it probably is petroleum or other, or drugs in the other one, in the other border posts. But contrary to what is being said that, this border drill is actually aimed at one part of the country. No, it's not correct. We are doing border drill in 4 geopolitical zones of the country.
Could I get your word on this identify yourself kind of a program? Because I'm linking it to security and I need to know ourselves.
I think the military has explained the entire situation and what they are doing, and I think it's what if I understand what the military is saying is that they are also they are very concerned about proliferation of arms and
That's right.
and ammunition. So, and I think they've made themselves very clear on why they are doing their exercise.
Okay. At this stage, Alhaji, we're going to quick commercial break. It always seems like it's only 5 minutes ago we started whenever you're here. We'll be right back. And of course, we'll open the phones. If you have any questions for Alhaji, as some did indeed alert us yesterday that they take up the matter when Alhaji himself is in studio. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please. Welcome back. Our guest is Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information and Culture. And we've been talking about his Monday, media tour. He took, the media on a tour of the place in the company of other, government ministers. And as I said, now we'll get to sort of answer your questions. But we have heard that we've got beautiful results. These are the kind of results we want. And the border drill, because I've just heard that we can call it what we want, call it temporary land clinical closure. It is, as far as the government is concerned, a border drill. That's all that it is, a border drill. And it's going to be in place as long as necessary. I have heard former President Obasanjo speak well of this, in support of this. I have heard, read that IBB, Babangida, has said indeed. And most of our viewers have also called in to say, the government should just ride on this. In fact, they've even cited instances that for how many decades was the China border closed? Because it was necessary. So, but, people don't like a bit of discomfiture, and you've explained that there will be some discomfiture in the interest of the overall good. So what you're saying to Nigerians is that, first of all, understand what we're doing. If necessary, adjust your eating habits. We have our own rice here. This very rice that they're bringing in, it's not doing us any good because ECOWAS was even citing that the whole rice industry, the whole rice business was being hurt by what was sabotage.
Yes, I think another side effect of this smuggling, which is even more dangerous than both the economy and even national security, is probably the issue of drugs.
Okay, drugs.
There's a drug epidemic in Nigeria today, and that's destroying and laying waste our youth.
Okay.
And this is another salutary effect of the border drill, because so much, illicit drugs have been,
especially the new cough medicine.
The tramadol.
Tramadol is the word I was looking for.
Yes. So it is in this, from this perspective, that we should look at the salutary effect of the border drill, in addition to the economy, in addition to national security, in addition also to the propensity for this border drill to strengthen local capacity in the area of agriculture and manufacturing in particular.
Indeed. Mr. Joshua, you're calling in from Ogun State. Irewale.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. And I greet the minister. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
I want to say, of course, he has said the border drill is quite advantageous to Nigeria, quite advantageous. I think the country has just been reduced to a dumping ground over the years, and the accumulated effect has really, really injured our economy. We know that. I want to appreciate him as a feedback that I think his government is helping us to actually know, to have an insight into how governance is done. This present government, I think they are enlightening the public. They are helping us to see through what is being done at government level. I want them to sustain that because we're beginning to know more. That was not happening before. It seemed that once you are in government, they are disconnected from the people and it's a secret society. Now, Uncle Yori, I want to appeal to the media. Now we are saying border drill, and the minister is saying border closure. Can we have a closer synergy with government, where the media is actually echoing what is happening to the public? When you say border closure, the impact of that word is very strong.
That's what we've been saying.
Why the reaction from people like closure. But he's saying drill. Sometimes we had partial movement and all that. So appropriate use of words is very important.
Communication,
because
right?
The elite should be on the same page with the government so that we can move forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Clear communication. But
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's what it's border drill is border closure. There'll be no movement of persons or goods or services. But today, people
are still going about their normal, legitimate businesses.
Provided they are value travel documents, and between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Indeed. The other thing that has come up since this operation started, the drill, is the question of fuel, petrol. Apparently, you can't get petrol anywhere near. That's one of the regulations. I think something like...
yeah, 20
kilometers.
Kilometers to the border. Because what we found out is that we were actually subsidizing the consumption of not just Nigerians, but of many West African countries. You remember when I was listing the kind of seizures that have been made, I said 1,012 drums of PMS.
50-gallon drums.
No. The drum, the 200...
Yes. 200-liter drums.
That's 1,012.
Okay.
And 11,553 containers of 50 liters each.
Okay.
Now, the truth of the matter is that a very sizable proportion of our PMS actually has been finding its way to not just, Benin Republic, but Niger Republic and other, other ECOWAS countries. But what that means is that if today, for instance, the landing cost of PMS is 100 naira, so as for the landing cost is probably about 200 naira today. But to cushion the effect on us, the government says sell fuel at only 140 naira, which means for every liter of fuel you are buying, the government is paying 60 naira. Now, if you now consume 1 million liters a day, the government is paying from our own taxes 60 million naira a day. But can you imagine if of that 60 million naira that is being paid, it is Benin Republic, Niger, that is actually taking 30% of it. Now, why did the government take the decision to close, the fuel stations 20 kilometers to the border? Because we found out there was a highly unreasonable proportion of number of filling stations along the border. Within 20 kilometers, we have about 160 filling stations. What did they? And these are stations that when you drive in, you can't get fuel. They only sell their fuel at night when they smuggle them. So the government had to take the decision. Okay. And it's pure economics. Look, I think the price of a liter of PMS in Benin Republic is about 400 naira a liter. So if you get it at 140 here, even if you bribe everybody, when the landing cost comes to 240 naira, you are still making a profit of over 100 naira on a liter. Okay. So it's very, very attractive, and that is why we decided that any station, at least for this border drill, until our neighbors comply, any fuel station within 20 kilometers will be closed.
Thank you for that explanation. Mr. Yakub, good morning, and sorry for keeping you waiting.
No problem.
You can understand. We had to have the minister land.
I understand.
Thank you.
It is very good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And then good morning to all the minister.
Good morning.
A friend of the house.
Thank you.
We really love what you are starting doing this time around, because we that we support this progressive government, we have opinion that in the first tenure, I understand to be corrected. We have opinion that in the first tenure, we don't get as much as information we needed to know, because we know the government has done a lot, but we didn't get the information we really need. But this time around, sir, you are doing well, and then I will try to do more. So I would say that usually, whether it's a border closure, whether it's a partial closure, whether it's a border drill, whatever name you like, call it.
It's a border drill.
anyone that you like call it. All what I know is that the government is doing the right thing.
Okay.
See, Tijari, last time that I called to this figure, I told you that I've never tasted Abakaliki rice, if you could remember. And then you are not asking me what is the taste between Abakaliki rice and Ofada rice, that very particular day.
I remember.
And then I'll be starting to give you my own opinion based on that. But Tijari, you see, not only even rice, look at what the Honorable Minister just told us. The illicit drug that's coming into this country is killing our youth. It's not only even youth, even the adults. What about the weapons? You can imagine that the rate of people commit crime is drastically going down now. So, for me, I think the federal government needs to even extend the time. Because what is our achievement? If you open that border with that not achieve our aim, one thing is this, during this time, because we are speaking to the right person in that studio now, I would like the federal government to be able to make sure that they include technology. Because we don't even have human capacity to mount our border. We don't have enough personnel to mount our border. Do you get it? So if the federal government can be able to spend more money on technology, I think it will be going with also to be able to secure our border. And then my question to another minister again is that, you see, you are telling us 20 kilometers to the border, they have stopped supply to that place. What is going to happen to those people living in that area of Because we have Nigerians that they are very close to the border. I've read it on social media that they have passed through a kind of hard time. So what is the method the federal government has for those people so that they can be able to feel that, okay, we have government in place. Even the border was closed, they give us some certain things that we'll be able to keep closing the border, and then we support this border close or border drain. Lastly, please, we have been asking for this, and then you are not giving it to us. This time is too small for this very particular program. You have to extend it. Thank you, God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yakub.
Thank you, Mr. Yakubu. Thank you. The federal government will continue to inform the public of what it does. Even the last administration, we tried our best. We were always here, on other platforms to explain to Nigerians what was happening. Yes, we can always do better. We can always do more. I thank you very much for your very patriotic contribution. You see, as for those who live within 20 kilometers of the border, the honest truth is that they have access to, fuel within their area. It will be a bit more difficult, but we've done our own work thoroughly, and we came to the conclusion that given the population of those areas and the amount of fuel that was being supplied, it was nothing but a big racket, and it's just smuggling racket. The matter is being looked into. We will not unnecessarily, wreak, hardship on Nigerians. But on the balance, like I said, when you look at the sheer number of petrol stations between those areas, you begin to understand why government took that decision.
And those petrol stations, in this new order that we are currently engaged in, no doubt you'll be looking and you'll be seeing what needs to be reviewed and that kind of thing. It seems to me that because your attitude right now is that it is a disproportionately large number of petrol stations for that whole area. Maybe some of those businesses might actually be closing down.
They are not businesses, really. They are just smuggling.
Okay. Sort of legitimized.
You see, anybody who's familiar with these petrol stations near the border, realize that you hardly ever get fuel there in daytime.
Okay.
The real business happens at night, and you see overnight about 10 tankers will be in one small petrol station, would offload, and before morning there's no fuel left there. It has gone to Benin Republic, it has gone to Niger, it has gone to everywhere. And we didn't take these decisions lightly. We did our own work thoroughly.
Okay. Mr. Manuel in Aja, good morning, sir.
Tendency.
So, Minister, a bit on the border closure. Yes, it is a good thing, quite all right. But I think there are some areas the government ought to do. Already we are having hyperinflation in the country. And the basic need of an average man is to eat. Now, you see, the effect of the closure on the rice, we know that we are trying to curb this bad rice coming in so that we get fresh rice and we eat what is healthy. But I think the government should also look at that when the hardship is too much on the people. Thereby, they should see how to come in and subsidize the rice that is being produced here. Get to this farmer, buy this rice, subsidize it, push it into the market at a low cost so that the average man can buy. Looking at the situation of the country, if we want to be honest with ourselves, we are having hyperinflation. The power of money can hardly buy anything. Now, after the closure of the border, a bag of local rice is 23,000. The last time I bought lake rice before the closure, it was about 12,500. Now, such rice sells above 20,000. There are no jobs and everything. The government should be wise enough to come in, buy, subsidize this price, push it into the market.
Okay, Mr. Manuel, thank you very much. We got exactly, thank you very much for your contribution.
So I appreciate that. You see, through the Anchor Brass program, the government is doing a lot to boost production of milling of rice. Two, it's precisely because of this taste, or this our appetite for foreign rice, that most of the policies of government domestically in the area of agriculture is not having the desired effect. We are not unmindful of the spike in the increase in price of rice, but I can assure you it's going to be very temporary. I can assure you that the government is not folding its arms and is doing everything to increase, to encourage increased production. But at the end of the day, what Nigeria needs is food security and self-sufficiency in food. And we're working towards it. It's not just rice alone we're working on. We're working on other items. Yes, like I said at the beginning, there'll be some discomfort because there are no pains. I mean, there's no gains without pains. But we take note of what we said. But again, we must be very careful. This might be a deliberate attempt by those who are smuggling rice to intimidate the government on this border drill. And we are not blackmailing anybody. We are simply asking our neighbors to please obey the protocol on transit.
And well, I suppose the way we've done as much as we can do, because I'm referring again to the heads of state involved here, and you've said that work is going on in that regard. But it's clear, at least we have said it, we've not been shy. We have said, not in those words, a lot more diplomatically, that Niger and Benin are offending us, and they should stop offending us, and they insist.
Yeah, frankly speaking, we've been on this dialogue since 2005. And the truth of the matter is that there's never been any legitimate transit trade between us and these two countries. But it's hurting our economy. It's affecting our national security. And no country is going to fold its arms when the overall interest of its people are being jeopardized and national security is being jeopardized. And I want those who are commenting on this issue to please look at what you're able to achieve even within 2 weeks alone. Okay. The price of rice, I can assure you, will stabilize gradually, because.
But maybe not by Christmas, and that's the problem.
Well, maybe not by Christmas, maybe not by Christmas, but maybe by Christmas, who knows? But what I'm saying is that as long as we allow influx of, smuggled rice, not even minding the quality of it, not even minding how it affects our economy, for so long would farmers be reluctant to increase their production. Because if there's a glut,
there's no incentive
then
to produce.
they'll lose money. Then you can't go back. Okay. But with what is happening today, I can assure you that you're going to have more rice as time goes on, because already the farmers are clearing more land, the farmers are engaging more hands. And like I told you, example of even the gentleman in Ibadan is asking for more loan to expand his poultry farm. And this is the story
capacity.
everywhere. Yes, because from selling 4,000 bucks a day, it's now selling 15,000 bucks a day.
Wow. Okay. Emmanuel, Mr. Emmanuel in Otukpo, good morning, sir, and thank you for holding on.
Good morning, Chief. Good morning, Chief Yori.
Good morning, sir.
A.K.A. Peter. Because you are a fisher of men.
Okay.
Your ability to bring in the best into the studio for this program is legendary.
Thank you.
And that is why your program is the most watched program on TVC.
Oh dear. Thank you very much for your kind words.
I greet my honorable minister.
Sure.
Thank you.
Chief Alhaji Lai Mohammed.
Thank you, sir.
Father, sir, you have written your name in gold.
Thank you.
You are doing a wonderful work for us.
Thank you.
This border closure, which is, we are all clamoring and our neighbors are crying.
They say now border drill.
It's a border drill. Yes, it's a border drill. If we have enough manpower, just like Mr. Yakub said, we should continue to do this border drill forever. Because we cannot allow other countries to keep feeding from us while we are suffering in hunger. Our neighbors are taking undue advantage of us, and we cannot allow that. We cannot be fooled forever. It is only patriotic that our president can also toe the line of one-time President of America, Monroe, who said, America for the Americans. That's the Monroe Doctrine. Nigeria for the Nigerians. That is patriotism. We must take care of our citizens. Not at the detriment of our citizens, so that citizens will feed fat. No, I don't think that is patriotic enough.
Okay.
So, like Yakub said, Chief Yori, this program is too short. And if you are bringing a bulldozer like Lai Mohammed to the studio, I think you should give us
increase our capacity.
Extra 30 minutes, so that enough callers can call in.
Yeah.
Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much. We actually used to be a 90-minute program, but scarce resources and all of that. It's not only in government, and so we shaved it a bit. But no doubt our management, they are hearing what you are saying. Thank you very much for calling in, Alaji.
Well, I think I agree with
Emmanuel
from Otukpo. And I think for good reasons too. I mean, you see, Otukpo is one of the food baskets of the country. And I'm sure they are reaping benefits from this border drill. Because frankly speaking, if you know the amount of waste that our farmers suffer because of smuggling and because of the fact that, you see, the economy and politics of imported rice, like I said, is very complex. Number one, this imported rice lands here cheaper than locally produced for two reasons. Number one, they ought to have a huge percentage of this rice had been condemned. Two, even when they get here, they sell them on credit to the traders. So even the traders are more inclined, are more enthusiastic to patronize this rice than the locally produced rice. And any country that wants to be great cannot continue to live, forever on the whims and caprices of the suppliers of food from other countries. So like I say, yes, there will be some pains, but overall, I think we're on the right track.
Thank you very much, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information and Culture. We started off thinking of it as still on border closure, and by the end of the program, we understand that actually, as far as government is concerned, you can say still on border drill. The border drill. Thank you very much, Alhaji, for coming in and taking us, carrying us along on the tours that you are making in connection with this subject. You said you're also looking to other borders.
Yes.
So it's not just a border.
No.
Even though it's a serious one.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
So that's our program today. Please join us on Monday. That's the next day of the program. Do have a great weekend. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.